Welcome, everyone. Today I have Rinki Sethi joining me to talk about cyber. Rinki, can you share with us a little background about you and what your role is at BILL?
Absolutely. I'm Rinki. I am the Chief Information Security Officer at BILL. I've been at BILL almost 3 years, leading both the security and our information technology organization. Been in cybersecurity for a little over 20 years. Started my career as a security engineer at PG&E. Worked at Walmart since then, eBay, Intuit, Palo Alto Networks. Did a short stint at IBM. Took my first CISO job at Rubrik, then Twitter, and now here at BILL. Sit on a few boards, currently on the board of Vaulttree, and was on the board of ForgeRock before they were taken private.
Excellent. So I think you have a lot of knowledge, and I also think is an October Cybersecurity Month.
It sure is. And so, I really want to thank you, Kim, and CPA.com for taking the time to chat. October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and staying secure is one of the top priorities for businesses and accountants everywhere. This is an especially fun month for me because this is where my passion lies, is building security culture within organizations. I'm really excited to be talking to you and just sharing my learnings over the past few decades with our accounting partners.
We're always excited to have people on that have expertise in certain areas. And I think I mentioned before we started today that I probably have enough cyber knowledge to be dangerous. So super excited to be sharing your knowledge. So I'm going to start with a really big question, right? So you have wealth experience. You obviously are cyber experience, a lot of wealth of knowledge in that space. And you just mentioned all that. What do you see on the horizon when it comes to cybersecurity threats today that firms and their clients should be ready to address?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now, I would say, especially with just kind of the proliferation of AI, the attack surface has just grown, and the number of attacks that we're starting to see has tremendously kind of exploded. And a lot of when you think about accounting firms and you're managing a wealth of data around your clients and financial information, you have access to personally identifiable information. And so thinking about those crown jewels in your customer data, uh, you're really, the attack surface and the hackers are looking after things like ransomware and phishing and spear phishing, and some of the same attacks that you hear that lead to about 95% of breaches, and is around human error. And I think accounting firms have to be more vigilant than ever in this kind of new environment that we live in, where it's just easier for attackers to even launch attacks at scale.
Yeah, I practiced prior to moving over to CPA.com in a very large firm. And, our security levels were very, very, very high because of all the information that, we held for clients and stuff like that. So I'm very familiar with how large firms are very focused on the security levels. But also, I think just as individual people, we've all been in situations where we've received the letter in the mail that said, we had a cyber attack or your information has been leaked. And, these are different ways that you can watch. So I think it's really important for everybody to be vigilant, just like you said. So what are some of the main considerations accounting firms should take into account in regards to cybersecurity to ensure they are protected?
Yeah, I think when I think about it, I think like any firm, but especially accounting firms, one, they vary in size and number of clients and things like that. And they vary probably in, are they remote, or do they have a physical location? And I think really thinking about what are the risks associated with my accounting firm? Like, what am I worried about the most? What would break trust with my clients? And really having that top of mind. And it might be, I'm really worried about someone. We have a lot of papers and we're worried about someone breaking into our office and making sure that's physically secured. It might be we have our laptops and making sure the laptops are secured, making sure that your employees are properly trained and understand that people might try to steal their identity to then get to their clients. And so if you have a list of things that you say, these are our critical risks, I think that's the very first step. And then making sure you're protecting those in the right way. I would say a close second is ensuring that you're building a culture of security within your company, within your firm. And so I think that's living and breathing security starts at the top, and really making sure that there's a understanding that security is everybody's responsibility within the firm, and that what could happen if there was a breach, and the trust that would be broken within, with your clients. And that I think is very, very hard to recover, as we've seen. And then I think practicing crisis and tabletop exercises and ensuring you're practicing so that you know what it would be like if there was a security incident, and ensuring that you have good partners that you can partner with if you were in an unfortunate circumstance where you did have a breach, that you have good partners that can help you out of that situation, help you with the communications with your clients and so forth. And then last, I would say, make sure you trust the third parties that you partner with. That I think that's a really important part of the puzzle that we as BILL, of course, like, trust is everything, and making sure you pick third parties that you really, really trust is important, and vetting them and making sure that they also have good security practices.
Yeah, so you mentioned if you're getting hit by an attack, right? So maybe we could dig into that a little bit deeper. So what should firms do if they are hit by an attack?
So I think there's so many companies that support small businesses that actually can come in and help you in that situation if you don't already have an IT or security team in-house. I think one of the most important things that you can do is, rather than waiting for the attack to happen, make sure you have an incident response plan of some sort. It could even be a one-pager that, here's what we do, and you have a playbook that you follow. Because the last thing you want is that in the middle of an incident or in the middle of a breach, you're trying to figure it all out and you're in panic mode. You're trying to figure out, how do I contain the breach? How do I make sure it's not spreading even further within my environment? And in the meantime, you don't know where to look for help. You don't know who to call, and you're trying to figure all that out, which causes delays. And then you're not able to communicate effectively with your clients. And so I think it's important, have a one-pager. Make sure you understand these are the types of things that might happen, and here's who we would call in that situation. And have partners identified. There's companies that support small and medium businesses, and that would come and help. And they can even help beforehand to make sure they understand your environment to a certain degree, so that in that situation, they can come in and help you out more effectively. I think the first thing you want to do is just make sure the incident is contained, and identify, with the data that you have at that moment, if it's time to communicate with your clients transparently so they understand what's going on as well.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note, you said small and medium size and large. This happens to all sorts of different size companies and firms too, right? So just because you're a small firm doesn't mean that they're not going to attack you either. So that's good. But let's take that one step further. As trusted advisors for clients inside of firms, how can firms ensure their clients are taking appropriate steps to be protected from cybersecurity incidents?
Absolutely. I think number one is making sure that your clients also understand that some of the cybersecurity threats, and being proactive and just saying that, one, make sure your documents and your data are protected in a way that, especially, it's like, our bank accounts and our money, and like, one of the most important things, that these accounts are protected in the right way. Anywhere you can, turn on multi-factor authentication. I think it's important also to share that, like, the stories of what accounting firms probably see this on a day in and a day out basis with their clients, but it can be devastating when a client also faces a breach or their identity is stolen, and the hassle that they have to go through. So providing those tips to your clients around, here's how you can protect your accounts, make sure you have multi-factor authentication turned on. If you're storing documents on your laptop, having basic protection around those documents, making sure that and making sure you have backup copies of things that you might need. And so having that information for your clients, I think, is super important. And then also that they're practicing partnership with third parties that they trust as well, and that they're making sure that they're vetting who's handling their most important handling their most important data in a very careful manner.
Yeah, and I think, when you think about small, medium firms, a lot of times they don't have internal cyber practices, but in large firms, they generally have, a team of advisors that help clients with that. I think it's important with small and medium-sized firms, if they don't have cyber practices, that they find somebody as an outside source that they can refer clients to actually spend, more significant time thinking about their cyber practices. Because I do think it's one of those things that is easy to not necessarily think about until something bad happens, right? So important. Okay, so then what is one piece of advice that you would give firms in terms of being proactive about cybersecurity?
Yeah, and I mentioned a few of these, and I think it's like only 50% of small and medium-sized businesses even have a cybersecurity plan. Like about all of the, about 50%, maybe a little bit less than that, are hit by cybersecurity breaches. It's devastating, and then they're not prepared. So I think it all starts with trust, and I think making sure that you take proactive steps to build trust. And at the end of the day, I think security starts and ends with people, and you have to make sure, like 90% of breaches are because of human error. They start with people. Making sure that your people are trained, and that there's really a culture of security. If you have that culture, you're going to think about the risks. You're going to take the right steps to protect. You're going to have the right partnerships with those security vendors if you don't already have in-house support. And so I think those are really important things to think about. Training needs to be implemented firm-wide, and the championship needs to start from the top. And I think, and then ensuring that all the way down to your clients and taking that care and providing the tips, or as you said, having that external source helping with that is so, so important.
Yeah, all really great information. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing information on cybersecurity. You obviously are very passionate about it, so we appreciate all of the knowledge that you have to share.
Yeah, this was wonderful. Thanks, Kim.
Thanks.